Hey guys, so there was once a time when DC was king of the TV universe. They had The Flash, they had Arrow. I never was much of a fan, but it had its fan base. And then Marvel came along with Daredevil Season 1, and the rest is history, and we have our Netflix series setting up for the Defenders. Now, I've been a fan since the start. I love Daredevil Season 1. Jessica Jones, I loved even more. Daredevil Season 2, I love. So I was really looking forward to Luke Cage, naturally. And the show does not disappoint. I finished it last night. It came out last Friday. So it hasn't even been out a week yet. And these Netflix shows, they're just so good. I managed to storm through them so quickly. And I wish I didn't, because I love watching them and I want more from them. And I wish I didn't go through them so quick. But you just can't help it. When you got Netflix and you want to binge watch a good show, it doesn't, pacing isn't existent. So there you go. Luke Cage, while it starts off a bit slow, it's a very good story. Now, this video will contain spoilers for Luke Cage, so if you haven't seen season 1, don't watch this video yet. Come back when you have watched it, because otherwise you're going to have things spoiled for you. And if you don't care about that, then fine. You can't complain about this. So that's a genuine spoiler warning for Luke Cage if you haven't seen it yet. So yeah, like I said, the show does start off slow, and with Daredevil, it sort of threw you straight into the action. You sort of got to know the character straight away, and we sort of already knew of Luke because of the Jessica Jones series. He featured quite heavily in that, but this one gives you more of his backstory, and well, it gives you all of his backstory and all of his past, but it doesn't start off like that. It actually starts off and you're sort of, it's in Harlem and it's more of a grounded story, whereas Jessica Jones was sort of, it had its like sort of supernatural, I guess, elements to it, and it had its sort of, you know, with Daredevil you had your action scenes, and some of it was really over the top, some of it was realistic, but this one, it kind of stays realistic the whole time. I mean, I say that, the main character is an unbreakable superhero whose skin can't be penetrated by regular bullets, but other than that, the show manages to keep itself very realistic and very grounded, and I like that each of these shows has its own different theme. So Daredevil had more of the sort of straight up action. Jessica Jones was like a neo-noir sort of crime thriller story. Luke Cage is more of your gangster, typical gangster story. And it really fits well with each character. Like, with the comics, I didn't really know much about Jessica Jones. I knew the basics, and they did well with making it a neo-noir story and having it as like a sequel to her past life, because otherwise it would just not mesh well with Daredevil. And with Luke Cage, again, they did very well. Like, they have references to the original Power Man, where he had his like yellow shirt and his headband. They referenced that in episode 4 when they showed his backstory, but they didn't keep all of that sort of ridiculousness about it, and I did like that. I did like that they were bringing in sort of comic book references, and they had a lot. There is a lot of Easter eggs in this show. Even to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you've got like references to, there's still references the incident in the Avengers. There's no Civil War references here. It's all about the Battle of New York, which makes me sort of think maybe this is set like directly after the Avengers. Like, I heard that Luke Cage takes place at the same time as Daredevil Season 2, but it's a sequel to Jessica Jones, and you know that because obviously they mentioned Jessica in the show. They mentioned the whole incident with Luke getting shot with the shotgun and everything. So you know it is a sequel to Jessica Jones, but it sort of makes me think, if they're only referencing the incident from the original Avengers, is this like a direct sequel and a prequel to sort of everything after, like Age of Ultron and everything? Because they never mention any of that, and they never mention like the Civil War, which I guess maybe this was filmed while Civil War was being filmed, so that hadn't happened yet, so that's forgivable. But I'm guessing maybe this is more of just a sequel to the Avengers than anything else. So yeah, I don't know. Might be wrong, but there you go. Anyway, the story of this, yeah, the first like 3 episodes, not a lot happens. By episode 4, really into it. I was really into it. You know, obviously Luke Cage was wrongly accused and put in prison, and then an experiment happened and he got his unbreakable skin and everything. And it sort of, it revolves around the story of, it's been done before, don't get me wrong, but it revolves around the story of, is Luke really that unbreakable, and is he a criminal? Because you've got these characters with superpowers, and it does sort of what Batman vs Superman did with Superman. It's like, is he a villain? is he a hero? Do we trust this guy? But they do it so much better here because they just focus on the one character and they just sort of they have the whole story based around that rather than just a little excerpt of it. Is that how you pronounce? You know what I'm going with, but they have like the whole story based around that, and then it's sort of because there's these bullets called Judas bullets in the show, and Luke gets shot with them, and they can penetrate his skin, and that's sort of a big part of it. It's like, is he actually unbreakable? What can break this man? And I really like that they did that too. Yeah, it revolves around a character called Cottonmouth, and Luke Cage is really close to his local barber called Pop, who he works for. He gets killed, so it sort of puts Luke Cage on the warpath against this guy Cottonmouth. And you've also got Black Mariah, who is a television presenter for the news, and she's all corrupt and everything, and it's sort of, do we trust her? And then Cottonmouth is murdered like 7 episodes in, and it was such a shock to me because they actually had the balls to do this. Now, what I kind of wish, Diamondback to me, he is basically the main villain of the show when Cottonmouth is killed off. What I kind of wish had happened was that Cottonmouth just wasn't killed off straight away, because 7 episodes in, you don't really get to know him that well. I mean, you know his sort of the basics of his character, and 7 episodes is a fair few. It's halfway through. But I liked him way more as a character than I did Diamondback, and I sort of wish they just brought in Diamondback for the last episode maybe, and had that whole, because there's a whole fight scene with Diamondback and Luke Cage, and Diamondback has like this sort of suit that mimics the powers of Luke, and he knows how to defeat Luke because he has these bullets and he has the same power as him now, and that was interesting, that was cool. But the character himself didn't interest me that much, but Cottonmouth did. So I sort of wish they'd maybe killed him off in episode 9, because it still would have been a big moment. It still would have been shocking. Not episode 9, episode 12, sorry. But you would have got more Cottonmouth, which I wanted, and you still would have got that really cool Diamondback fight. So that's my one of my small gripes with the show. But yeah, obviously you got characters like Claire Temple returning, who I heard is going to be in every show leading up. So is she like the Nick Fury of the Defenders universe? Is she going to be assembling the Defenders to take on a larger threat? I mean, I'm guessing the threat will end up being the Hand, but some things in Luke Cage do lead on. I heard that characters like Misty Knight, who is the one of the main characters in this, is coming back for that, and I really liked her as a character. Every character in the show I liked, and out of all the protagonists so far, Luke Cage is probably the most likable, my personal favourite. So, yeah, I mean, still Jessica Jones is my favourite show, but Luke Cage as a character, he really stands out for me. But I feel like they didn't do the best with the villain they could, especially with Cottonmouth. But yeah, it was a big moment, and it was a big shocker. So, that was interesting to see at least. But yeah, I mean, Luke Cage is definitely a very enjoyable show. It blurs the line between reality and fiction with the, is he unbreakable? Is he a myth? Is he a hero? Is he a vigilante? Is he a villain? And yeah, like I said, it's been done to death, but they did it so well in this show, and it was just, yeah, it's a slow build up, and it takes a while to get into, whereas the other 2 shows, you're into it straight away. But I can see why they did that, and I can see why they had to sort of build up this character, because he's not the most well-known Marvel character out there. I mean, neither was Daredevil or Jessica Jones, but they have to introduce this character and get people to know who this character is who hadn't previously read the comics. So they couldn't only, because with DC, I think they're just trying to personally appeal to just the comic fans who already know of these characters, which is fine, it's not really a problem, but I'm glad that they gave us the chance to get to know Luke in the show, and he just becomes more likeable for it. And I really love Claire Temple and want to see more from her, and I know we're going to, and it just made me, this show and the build-up for the Defenders really made me more excited for the Defenders than I already was, and I was very excited for the Defenders already. So I highly recommend you check out Luke Cage if you haven't already. It's now streaming on Netflix. Every episode is up. And I'm glad we didn't have to wait weekly for these shows, because there's shows at the minute I'm watching, such as Ash vs Evil Dead and Gotham Season 3 and South Park Season 20 as well. And you just have to wait a week for every episode. And it's just, I want them now, and I'm glad that these Netflix shows do that for me. So if there's any Netflix shows you can recommend to me, let me know. I haven't seen Stranger Things yet, but if there's any Netflix shows you think are worth watching, let me know, because I'm at a loss right now until March when Iron Fist comes out. So thank you for watching this video. Yeah, let me know what you think of Luke Cage and how it fits well into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And yes, there is a Stan Lee cameo, but I'm not going to spoil that one because I want you guys to find it for yourselves. But there is a Stan Lee cameo to be found in this show. So I'll see you guys in the next video.